got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
You wouldn't match. By any chance, would you?
Embrace the probability of your imminent death. And know, in your heart, that there's nothing I can do to save you.
Rick, where'd you get a hand grenade?
I don't know.
Good morning, Starshine. The Earth says hello.
In Seattle, Travis, so lucky it happened. He's Representative Walter Hudson, and we absolutely do love having him on the show. Would you, trap question quick right away, so let's start with that. Would you consider yourself a bit of a flamethrower? You seem to be in the heat of the battle at all times. You're probably one of the faces of those that will stand up and not care what anybody else says.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that. I don't know that characterizing. I mean, I've accepted the label of flamethrower.
Okay, but not your intent.
Well, my intent is to tell the truth, and my intent is to stand for what I know is right.
And that bothers a lot of people. You know,
bothers a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. So, you're supposed to be. This is Minnesota. You're supposed to be apologetic when you give your opinion. You know, especially if it's
so true.
Mainstream.
That's so true. Here's what I'd like is your opinion, because we've had a very interesting 2025. And when 2025 started with, of course, the session starting 3 weeks late, you and the Republicans are going to work. And I just remember the big, huge, ugly guy dressed as a woman with a megaphone screaming at you right in your face. And no one do anything, like 35, 40 minutes an hour, whatever. I mean, literally over the top, in my opinion. You know, I'm watching. And I think to myself, of all the people, then you have the shootings of the Hortmans and the Hoffmans, and everybody's talking about, we got to do something about the Capitol now. You know, it's you. And, sir, if you can see this, this is the rubber door wedge that we use to keep the studio door open when it's too warm. I believe this cost this organization $1.99. Some naked guy was able to use one of these artfully crafted wedges and got in the Capitol. Are you not, and I pick on you in that nut jobs find out those that, you know, stick out. This is all he needed. This was how you break into the Capitol. How mad were you? You've seen friends get shot, people in, you know, this is it. Tell me how mad you were. That can't be how you break into the Capitol of Minnesota.
I'm reluctant to express the full extent of my disappointment.
Keep in mind it's in radio, but I want to hear a little of the fire. I can't even imagine after 6 weeks after people are shot, and they're talking about let's get rid of the guns, the Capitol, this sort of thing. They're not even closing the door.
Yeah. Well, listen, we have good people working in the Sergeant at Arms office. We have good people working in Capitol Security, and of course, the State Patrol is fantastic. The problem, as I see it, is administrative, and it has to do with the same reluctance to prosecute that we see in St. Paul and Minneapolis. I mean, Ramsey County, Hennepin County, these are the jurisdictions that we're talking about here. That act that you spoke of to start off with at the beginning of session, where a group of thugs took over a committee hearing room, and that was a felony. You say they crossed the line. Yeah, the line is the law. That was a felony. It is a felony to disrupt the legislature. Nobody was arrested for it. Nobody was charged with that. Nobody's in prison for it. This guy was caught and released twice, as I understand it.
Yep.
That's the problem. It's not the physical security. It's not that we don't have metal detectors. It's not that we allow lawful permit holders to carry guns in the Capitol. None of that is the problem. The problem is that we do not enforce the law.
And even though common sense, let me throw this at you. And I know I'm going to say this wrong, and mental health professionals hate me. How far off level do you have to be to get a night in a room somewhere? This guy's naked, having washed in the women's restroom, naked, sitting on the Senate chamber president's desk, saying he's the governor. You bring him to Regents, and like, seems fine by me. What is it? Who got into that last bed that wasn't this guy?
Well, listen, this is going to be controversial, but I believe it was Reagan who actually, it was either Nixon or Reagan who actually took us away from the old style mental health institutions where we would commit people for obviously insane conduct.
Yeah.
And and again, the priority there is, yeah, do you want to help that person? Is that person worthy of care, mental health care? Of course they are. But the larger concern is the safety of the public, right? If somebody's acting irrationally in a manner that results not even in physical danger, but the disruption of order. Like our society has gotten to a point where we apparently don't value order at all.
Well,
Instead, we value the minority status or the mentally disabled status of the person more than the safety and well-being of society. It's absolutely insane, and the pendulum needs to swing back in the other direction.
and I don't know if we don't have a judge that's up all night long someplace in Minneapolis, St. Paul. You're the overnight judge. Get this guy, says judge. He's naked. He's in the Capitol. He's saying he's the governor. We just want to maybe he's on drugs, maybe not. I don't have any idea. That he doesn't seem to harm to himself, but we'd like to keep him overnight in the jail. The door will be locked, but we'll feed him. He can get out. He isn't arrested, but let him sleep it off. You remember the old Andy Griffith show where Otis would get so tanked, he'd just go in jail and let him sit. Then he'd wake up the next morning and say, hey, how you doing? Well, thanks for not telling me. You know, some common sense. He doesn't need to be jailed. Maybe not. Maybe he's not a harm to anybody. What if this guy thought all of a sudden, well, now I'm a principal of a school, and he goes naked sitting in the school with kids? Yeah. There's just got to be something better, and obviously we don't have better, which is it's crazy to me.
We could, like I say, it's not a matter of law. Like the law is solid on this. Yep. It's a matter of prosecution. It's a matter of administration of the. I'm sure. And I don't want to speak on behalf of any of these officers or our sergeant at arms staff or state troopers or anything like that. But I have to imagine that the problem is not their willingness to do something.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So
let's go back to the Capitol, though, just for a moment, because I don't know what I dream the security is. I almost think it's like a very fancy library or something where there's some guy overnight wandering the halls in circles all night long, just making sure everything's safe. I guess that's what I imagine. It doesn't have to be a Mission Impossible thing with Tom, jumping down and stopping before going through rays. And I don't need that. But the fact that a guy with, I presume if this didn't work, a piece of duct tape over that spot will keep it closed. We have to have more than that. And I say this for you guys. I want more than that. This guy gets in at midnight. Now you don't know who's in the Capitol when you guys show up at 8 a.m. We need more. Is that fair? Or better?
It's very fair. And listen, having a personal background in security myself, I mean, that's what I did for the first part of my adult life for work. There's these things called door checks. They're real simple. You just walk around and check the doors, make sure they're locked.
This is the minimum. So somebody's job, hey, close the door, Bob, on your way out. Is that what we're going with, the honor system? Or does some guy at 5 o'clock, whatever time the Capitol closes, takes a meander around the Capitol building, one big walk, you'll be in shape by the end of the year, and just check. That's the minimum we aren't giving you. Now, one other thing, because before we get over, I saw it on your website. I saw the story, but I saw you on Facebook or something write about it. People, I think, will be astonished, and I know this because I brought it up this weekend with friends. We just let a guy out who axe murdered both his siblings and his parents, and we now let him out on the streets. He's getting out on early parole. I don't know what the world they call it. Get back to how is the things possible, and why are things happening like they happen? I'm sorry, do we seriously think we rehabilitated a guy who axe murdered 4 people?
Well, and that's the wrong question. The real question is, past what point is rehabilitation not the goal, right? Past what point is rehabilitation off the table? Past what point have you spent all your lives, right? And it's over.
Yeah.
And I would say axe murdering your family, 4 members of your immediate family, your mom, your dad, and 2 younger siblings, that qualifies. I think that's game over time. And this is what the Democrats simply do not believe. They think that rehabilitation and getting somebody back on the street is the #1 priority, regardless of the nature of the crime. And that's where we find ourselves.
See, but I think you and I 20 years ago would have the same conversation. They want him out of prison. I get it. They literally let an axe murderer out. You and I would have joked, what, you're going to let an axe murderer out? Yep. 20 years later, that's exactly what we'll do. It is stunning what has happened to the Democratic Party. But we're not done talking about it. Come back after this. Voter rolls. What are we hiding? We'll talk about that and much more coming up. I've got Representative Walter Hudson.
Think about it. Now that school's out for the summer, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc. Midwest Money Management and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
We've got him, Representative Walter Hudson, on the program with us. Representative, I don't have any clue how this governor even considers running for a third term, but the latest news Friday, the federal government asked to come in and take a look at the Minnesota Housing Stability Program. Quick reference of folks, it started in 2019, $2.6 million. Basically, if a homeless person was talked to, up to 150 hours, by the way, ridiculous, you can get $70 an hour to do that. For folks to put in perspective, that's almost 4 straight weeks, 8 to 5, talking to one human being about his housing situation, you could get paid. 2.6 million. 5 years later, it's 107 million. 40 times that money being pumped out. No one here in Minnesota seemed to think there was an issue. What? There's a problem? What do you mean? Well, either we are off by 40 times the amount of homeless people, or people are screwing us. Federal government comes in, and guess what they did on Friday? They said, we're shutting the program down. How bad was it, Senator? How bad you are, Representative, do you believe it is that with all the other frauds we've had, They didn't close those down. This one must be so inherently bad that they can't even stand up for it.
Yeah, that would definitely seem to be the case. I mean, I think I think it was Senator Mark Johnson, the Republican minority leader, who said something to the effect of, "You guys are shutting this down so that we can't see the nature of it, so that we can't dig in and find out what was going on." And however speculative that may or may not be, I think the underlying point here is that this comes in the wake of virtually every single Democrat telling us there's nothing to see here. I mean, that's been their tune. I've been there since 2023.
Yep.
So 3 legislative sessions. And throughout 3 legislative sessions, the Democrat narrative consistently has been patting themselves on the back and saying, we've done a great job. We've made all these changes. There's nothing left to see here. Everything's hunky-dory. We're good to go. And then this happens. And the question that is top of mind is, why did it take the U.S. attorney? Why did it take the feds to come in and root this out and discover it and bring it to light? Where were the state agencies?
Well,
Where
somebody
was
is
Governor Walz?
they put this in human services or under Medicaid. I have no idea why. It's nothing to do with medicine, but okay, we do that. Somebody, some human being, man or woman, is in charge of that, right? And they're going to make sure this money goes out. Well, when you get $2.6 million, that's going to take a full time to spend. But when it gets to 105, 107 in 5 years, isn't anybody on the boards or, on the committee saying, what, we got too many homeless? By now, shouldn't the homeless be taken care of? Doesn't that process go through? Where's somebody saying, what are you talking about? You need more money.
No, I'll tell you exactly why that does not happen. Okay. Because I've heard it expressed time and time again in either committee hearings or on the House floor. Democrats perceive overruns in budgets for things like this. They perceive that as the discovery of need. So the fact that we thought that there was only $2 million worth of need out there, but by God, it turns out there's $100 million worth of need that we need.
Oh my God.
So you know what? We better fund it more. We better make sure we got more money coming towards it, because there's all this need out there and this problem isn't getting solved. That's how they see it. The failure is proof of the need to keep trying. That's literally how they view it.
But how about even the compensation end? How does somebody not stand up and say, Al Travis, blowhard that he is, 15 hours a week. It would take him 10 straight weeks of talking to nothing but poor homeless Mr. Hudson for 10 weeks straight in the entire show. I couldn't come up with it. There might be 3 programs, 4 programs. I might hint you on, maybe go to church,
No.
How do we think any homeless guy is going to spend 150 hours with anybody talking about how bad he failed his life? And that's what we pay.
And I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I don't believe that it's expected that at the end of all those hours, the guy's actually housed.
No.
I mean, what are you doing for all those hours?
Let me
that
throw
is
one more.
providing any benefit whatsoever to the person.
I got to throw this out because it drives me so bad. The other thing was that U.S. Attorney General asked to take a look at the Department of Secretary of State's office, the voter rolls. We want to take a quick gander at them. I thought to myself, great idea. I mean, if we can get somebody who shouldn't be voting, great, take them off. Secretary of State Simon says, we have the greatest voter rolls ever. What are you talking? We don't need to look at this. And he says no. It's like taking the fifth, right? All these people taking the fifth. It makes you think he knows there's a problem. Because if he was squeaky clean, send it up. When Trump comes back and says, you got squeaky clean rolls, he'll look like a second coming. Yep. Why is he not? How bad is it? Any idea?
Well, listen.
Yeah, thoughts?
I knew right away that they were hiding something because of the way they pivoted and responded. They didn't come back with an argument as to why this is unnecessary, right?
Yeah.
What they did is they pivoted straight to the legal argument of, oh, there's no legal basis for this request. Well, it's a request. It wasn't an order. It wasn't a demand. It's a request. And by the way, it's a request you should welcome, because as you say, you've been bragging for years about how Minnesota has the best election system in the world and there's nothing to see here and there's nothing wrong. The same people, by the way, who failed to see all this fraud that's taking place in all these different programs are telling us there's nothing to see here in the election system. It's totally fine. It's completely perfect. After 20 ballots disappear off the face of the earth in Shakopee, all these other irregularities that have been happening. Oh, there's nothing to see here. Well, if that's true and you're so confident in it, as you have expressed publicly, why would you have any objection to the DOJ looking at it?
Yeah,
and they say things like, "Well, this is personal data." Well, then how do you have it?
Well, and the federal government's got it.
Yeah,
they have it. It's your driver's license. It's your social security number. It's where you live.
I mean,
that's everything they've got.
If it's okay for Steve Simon to look at, then it's okay for the DOJ to look at. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to articulate why that's not the case. And they try to manufacture these. Well, what if they do this, that, and the other thing with the data? Listen, if you think that data shouldn't be available to government, then it shouldn't be available to government, not just the DOJ. It shouldn't be available to you.
I can go down there to my driver's license and get this real ID and give 3 pints of blood to make sure I can get it. I've got to fly. I'm out of time. You know I love having you on, Representative Hudson. You're always there for me. I appreciate you a ton. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Representative Walter Hudson on the Al Travis Show.